It's already over. Drake just lost a war he didn't even know he was fighting, and the body's still warm in a courtroom nobody told you to watch. Pause, rewind, look closer. Because while the entire culture was busy laughing at a halftime show that turned the biggest rapper in the world into a meme, something colder, quieter, and 1,000 times more lethal was being assembled 2,000 miles south of that stage. Not a diss track, not a tweet, not a leaked phone call, a paper trail. And paper trails don't get streamed. Paper trails get subpoenaed. Paper trails don't trend, they go federal. And the man at the bottom of this one has a maple leaf tattooed on his life. Now listen, because what I'm about to walk you through is the kind of thing nobody on your timeline is brave enough to say out loud. The lawsuit that's actually ending Drake's career was never the one you've been arguing about for 18 months. It wasn't the UMG defamation case. It wasn't the RICO-flavored petition that imploded in Manhattan. It wasn't even the Kendrick war that buried his name on a Super Bowl stage. The lawsuit that's quietly dismantling him, exhibit by exhibit, deposition by deposition, was never about him on paper. And that right there is exactly why it's working. Exactly why his lawyers are losing sleep. Exactly why nobody saw the trap until it was already 3 moves deep into checkmate. Let me set the scene one last time, because we need to start at the funeral before we walk you to the autopsy. Super Bowl Sunday, 133 million people staring at the same screen. Kendrick Lamar, dead center on the biggest stage in America, calmly performing a song that uses the word pedophile as a hook. Not a verse, not a bridge, the chorus, the part designed to be sung along. Drake's name floating over the field like a body in a river. Twitter convulsing, the OVO crest looking like a tombstone in real time. Everybody declared the war over. Game, casket, credits. But here's what nobody told you while you were laughing. While the funeral was being live streamed in 4K, the autopsy was already underway. In a federal courthouse in Miami, a 5-foot-tall blogger named Milagro Cooper, brand name Milagro Grams, was sitting across a polished wood table from a battalion of Roc Nation lawyers, and every question they fired had the same shape. They were never about her. They were about the man whose name kept showing up in her group chats, her DMs, her payment trails, and her browser logs. Kendrick buried him with bars. Megan Thee Stallion is burying him with paperwork. And paperwork, baby, doesn't go viral. It goes under oath. Let that marinate. Because once a man like Drake ends up under oath, every smirk he ever posted, every cryptic Instagram caption, every plausible deniability press cycle, every burner account, every paid placement, every quietly funded blog post evaporates into thin Toronto air. Under oath, there is no PR firm. Under oath, there's no ghostwriter. Under oath, there's a court reporter, a judge, and the truth, whether you like it or not. Now, reset the board, because the internet's been lying to you. The first myth we have to dynamite is the so-called Drake RICO case. Read this twice. He never filed RICO. What he filed in November of 2024 was a pre-action petition with the structure, the smell, and the ambition of a RICO complaint without the courage of one. He accused Universal and Spotify of running an illegal scheme. Bots, payola, suspicious licensing discounts, the full conspiracy theory dressed up in a custom suit. The Guardian reported the filing read like a list of grievances printed off the burner accounts of his own loyalists. Then January arrives. Drake quietly drops Spotify. Why? Because suing the platform that pays your masters is corporate suicide. He pivots, hits UMG with a full federal defamation lawsuit. The claim, per Billboard, was that UMG knowingly distributed a song that called him a pedophile and did it to humiliate him. October 9th, 2025, federal judge Jeanette Vargas dismisses the entire thing. The ruling is so clean it should be tattooed on every aspirational rapper's forearm. Not Like Us is rap battle hyperbole. No reasonable listener would treat it as literal factual claim. End of story. Reuters runs the headline. The internet eats. October 29th, Drake quietly files his appeal. By March of 2026, UMG's legal response, covered by Rolling Stone, calls Drake astoundingly hypocritical for suing a label whose marketing playbook he himself perfected. Current scoreboard: brutal, dismissed, appealed, mocked. The rapper who tried to litigate his way back to the throne ended up handing his enemies more material than the diss track ever did. This was supposed to be Drake's revenge arc. It became his second loss in the same fight, and the third loss is loading right now. But here's where it gets weird, because the third loss isn't even on his case file. Slide your eyes south to the case actually keeping OVO Sound up at night. On paper, Megan Thee Stallion versus Milagro Cooper looks like a celebrity blogger spat. False narratives about the Tory Lanez shooting, online harassment campaigns, defamation. Standard celebrity legal fare usually ends with a payout, a press release, and a forced apology video posted at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. The verdict, when it dropped, looked equally tidy. Jury found Milagro Grams liable. Megan was awarded $75,000, later reduced to $59,000 per people. DJ Akademiks, ever the loud man with the wrong details, claimed Megan's team had originally demanded $30 million per primetimer. And right there, 99% of bloggers stopped reading, wrote their headlines, moved on, missed the entire story. Because the $59,000 was never the prize. Let that sit with you. The prize was discovery, the depositions, the subpoenaed phones, the forensic phone reports, the financial records, the bank statements, the encrypted chat logs. Megan's lawyers did not sue a blogger to get rich. They sued a blogger to legally pry open a door that connects to something far, far bigger. And that door has a name carved on it: Drake. This is where the Trojan horse becomes visible. A defamation case is the cleanest, quietest legal vehicle in America for forcing the discovery process. You sue a small fish, the small fish has nothing to give, but the moment you allege the small fish was acting as part of a coordinated network, suddenly your subpoena power expands. Suddenly you can demand bank records. Suddenly you can demand every text message exchanged with every other suspected node in that alleged network. Suddenly, you can sit a man like DJ Akademiks down for not one, but 2 depositions and ask him with a straight face about every single dollar he ever received from Drake. Per Hot New Hip Hop, Akademiks was hauled in by Roc Nation's lawyers for a 7-hour deposition. Then they brought him back for round 2. The detail that broke the internet, reported by XXL via the Instagram circuit, is that Akademiks was reportedly questioned about receiving payments from Drake. Akademiks himself, on his own stream, complained that the lawyers wasted hours asking him stupid questions about Nicki Minaj and Drake, questions he insisted had nothing to do with a blogger case. Translation in plain English: they had everything to do with the blogger case. Everything. Roc Nation isn't building a defamation file. Roc Nation is building a forensic map of an alleged coordinated harassment ecosystem, and every drawn road on that map ends at the same penthouse. One man, one signature, one pattern: Drake. Now sit with the elegance of the trap. A defamation case does not need a famous defendant to do damage. It only needs a small defendant connected to a famous wallet. Once that connection is alleged, the rules of civil discovery kick in, and those rules are written in a language that does not bend for celebrity. They don't care if you have a Grammy. They don't care if you have a tour bus. They don't care if you have a brand deal with a fast food chain. They care about phones. They care about Venmo logs. They care about wire transfers. They care about email headers. They care about timestamps on encrypted messages and geolocation data on 1,000 text bubbles. The instant Megan's filing alleged a network, the instant she said the words coordinated and ecosystem, the entire courthouse turned into a vacuum cleaner aimed straight at every device that ever pinged a tower in the same zip code as a Drake-affiliated blogger. And vacuum cleaners do not negotiate. Then comes Tory Lanez, November of 2025. Lanez, deposed from prison because the legal machine does not care about your zip code, sits down and refuses to answer basic questions. The court hits him with a $20,000 contempt fine.
Per TMZ and BET, Lanez reportedly shrugged off the fine and cited his wealth, like a man laughing at a parking ticket while a wrecking ball swings towards his ceiling.
Ask yourself something. Why does a convicted shooter sitting in a federal cell risk a second contempt charge to stay silent? You don't risk extra prison time for a blogger you barely know. You risk extra prison time when the answers you're being forced to give would burn somebody much, much higher up the food chain. Lanez is not protecting Milagro Grams. He is protecting a network, and every time he refuses to speak, the legal record gets one line longer, the inferences get 1 degree sharper, and the silhouette of the man at the top of the chain gets 1 shade clearer in the eyes of a future jury. Now let me show you the document that turned this case from drama into something resembling federal evidence, the forensic report. 1,495 pages of phone analysis. Buried inside is a single, ice-cold sentence that should make every Drake loyalist quiet down for a minute. WhatsApp activity was detected on Cooper's phone as recently as March of 2025, but the WhatsApp app itself was no longer present on the device. Translate that? Somebody deleted evidence. Not a stray photo, not a misplaced playlist, an entire encrypted communications application. The exact application you would use if you wanted to coordinate a harassment campaign without leaving a paper trail on Apple's servers. Megan's filing, as relayed by Law Commentary and Mixtape Chicks reporting, alleges that Tory Lanez was feeding Milagro Grams misinformation, including fabricated claims about case evidence. Read that one more time. Fabricated claims about case evidence. This is no longer a defamation case. This is starting to look like an obstruction map. And obstruction maps in federal court have a habit of growing extra branches once depositions start hitting depositions and receipts start hitting receipts. You don't lose discovery battles in 2026. The phones remember, the cloud remembers, the metadata remembers. The only people who don't remember are the ones who got caught. Now, pivot, because the KDAT fanbase has been waiting on the edge of their seat for this part. The Kendrick angle, the retroactive validation tour. Megan threw the first stone, long before Kendrick said a single word on "Like That," before the entire culture exploded into the most documented rap war in modern memory. Megan dropped Hiss in January of 2024, the now immortal cosplay gangsters fake accents line, the line every single hip-hop forum on planet Earth instantly read as a missile aimed at Drake. The Reddit thread on r/Kendrick Lamar called it for what it was. Hiss got the ball rolling. Meg coming out helped reinforce the collective Drake beef and brought even more eyes and ears to the saga. Then Kendrick climbed onto the platform Megan had already built, and within weeks of Not Like Us dropping, Megan was performing Kendrick's diss at her own concerts. Per Complex, the clips went global. The picture was clear. This was never a one-man war. This was always a coordinated cultural reckoning, with Kendrick as the artist and Megan as the strategist. Kendrick attacked Drake's character through art. Megan is attacking the infrastructure through law. Kendrick exposed the man. Megan is exposing the machine. And here's the theory setting hip-hop Twitter on fire right now. If discovery proves Drake funded a blogger network to spread misinformation about Megan, it does not just hurt him in civil court. It retroactively validates every single bar in Not Like Us about Drake operating through a manipulative ecosystem of paid mouthpieces. The same allegations Drake sued UMG over to defend his reputation could come boomeranging back, this time as evidence, this time to destroy it.
Look at the head-to-head, because this is where the argument crystallizes. Drake's UMG case status, dismissed and on appeal. Megan's case status, won and expanding. Drake's role in his own case, plaintiff, on offense. Drake's role in Megan's case, subject of organic discovery, fully on defense. Drake's burden in his own suit, prove malice. Drake's burden in Megan's orbit, none, because his name is surfacing through other people's depositions, which is 1,000 times worse because he can't strategize against a question he never gets to see in advance. Public optics on Drake's case, sore loser of a rap battle. Public optics on Megan's case, alleged ringleader of a coordinated harassment operation. Allies exposed in Drake's case, 0, because UMG is a corporation with a press team. allies exposed in Megan's case, academics, lanes, an entire blogger network, all named, all on the record, all subpoenaable. Financial damage on Drake's case. Drake possibly owes UMG legal fees on top of his own bill. Financial damage in Megan's orbit. Lanes fined $20,000 for contempt, with more fines projected. Cultural fallout on Drake's case. Drake is crying to lawyers about a song. Cultural fallout in Megan's case. Every Not Like Us bar is starting to sound like a deposition preview. Drake's case asked the court a question. Did UMG defame me? The answer was no. Megan's case is asking a different question entirely. Who paid the bloggers? That answer has not dropped yet, and it is the answer Drake cannot afford to come out. Because in a federal courtroom, the question is not whether you lose the rap battle. The question is whether you lose the deposition, and the deposition does not care about your accolades. Now let's slip into the speculation corner, the theories lighting up every group chat in hip-hop right now. Theory 1, the Roc Nation long game. Jay-Z and Roc Nation are allegedly using Megan's blogger case as a Trojan horse to subpoena every single Drake-aligned media figure on the map. The academics deposition, the questions about payments, the second deposition, it all fits. This isn't a defamation case. This is a strategic intelligence operation wearing a defamation case as a costume. Theory 2, the secret kid reveal. DJ Academics himself titled a YouTube stream, Drake's Secret Kid Finally Revealed, fueling the rumor that Kendrick's hiding a daughter line on Meet the Grams was based on real intel that may eventually surface inside Megan's discovery. Unverified, but viral. And in 2026, viral plus discovery is a chemical reaction nobody on Drake's team wants. Theory 3, the domino effect. If discovery proves Drake paid bloggers to harass Megan, it sets a legal precedent. Every artist Drake ever beefed with, Pusha T, Rick Ross, The Weeknd, Kendrick himself, suddenly has grounds to investigate parallel campaigns. Imagine the chain reaction. Imagine the lawsuits stacking. Imagine the depositions. The dam doesn't break with one case, it breaks with the second one, and the second one always comes faster than the first. Theory 4, the reason Drake refuses to clap back against Megan. Despite getting bodied on Hiss, despite watching her perform Not Like Us on his birthday, Drake has never legally retaliated against Megan. Why? Because discovery would destroy him. Megan's lawyers would gain the right to depose Drake under oath about his entire alleged blogger network, about his payment patterns, about every group chat on every encrypted app. It is the one fight Drake cannot post a corny meme about and walk away from. It is the one fight where silence is the only available move, and silence in a courtroom counts against you, not for you. Now, here is the angle that nobody on hip-hop YouTube is touching, and the one that should keep the OVO war room awake until sunrise. Forget whether Drake wins or loses the appeal. Forget the sales projections of his next album. Forget the streaming numbers. The real question, the only one that matters from this point forward, is the question of sequence.
Because this lawsuit is not a single event. It is a domino. And dominoes do not announce themselves before they fall. They just fall. The academics deposition was a domino. The Lane's contempt charge was a domino. The deleted WhatsApp app, that was a domino with a date stamp on it. Each one looks small in isolation. Each one is dismissed by his loyalists as nothing. But stack them. Stack them in chronological order. Stack them as exhibits in a federal binder. Stack them on a timeline a jury can follow with a finger. And what you start to see is not a celebrity drama. What you start to see is a pattern. A repeating, escalating, documented pattern. And patterns in federal court are how civil cases turn into something else entirely. Patterns are how a defamation suit grows teeth and starts gnawing on a RICO statute the original plaintiff never imagined invoking. Here is where the unique angle of the entire saga finally reveals itself. Everyone has been watching the wrong screen. Everybody has been watching the diss tracks. Everybody has been watching the Super Bowl. Everybody has been watching the album rollout. The real movie was always playing in a Miami courtroom, and the audience was 12 jurors, 3 judges, and 1 growing legal file with Drake's name showing up in the footnotes more times than anybody on his side wants to admit. Kendrick made him a meme. The Super Bowl made him a punchline. But Megan Thee Stallion is doing something much more dangerous than either. She is making him a defendant in the public imagination, even before any official complaint with his name on it ever gets filed. Because in 2026, you don't need a formal indictment to lose. You just need a paper trail the entire culture has read.
and the entire culture is starting to read this one out loud, line by line, deposition by deposition, leaked exhibit by leaked exhibit. Drake's RICO-style war died because the law saw Not Like Us as art, but Megan's lawsuit is alive because the law sees alleged blogger payments, coordinated harassment, deleted communications, and lying witnesses as something very, very different from art. The law calls that evidence, and evidence does something diss tracks cannot. Evidence compounds, evidence cross-references, evidence shows up in second cases, third cases, fourth cases, until the original target stops being able to keep his story straight. One was Drake going on offense and losing in a single courtroom. The other is Drake watching his entire support system get deposed, one human being at a time, in courthouse after courthouse, while he sits in a Toronto studio unable to say a single word in his own defense, because his own lawyers will not let him within 1,000 feet of a microphone or a phone. And that right there is the most painful part of this entire saga for a man whose entire career was built on talking. The man who built an empire out of subliminal jabs and burner Instagram posts and surgical PR responses cannot speak, cannot tweet, cannot subliminal, cannot post, because anything he says becomes evidence. Anything he tweets becomes evidence. Anything he hints at becomes evidence. The character who lived and breathed off plausible deniability has been finally legally cornered by a process that does not care about plausible deniability. Think about what that does to a brand built on omnipresence. Drake's entire commercial gravity was constructed out of voice. The voice on the song, the voice in the interview, the voice on the leaked phone call, the voice on the surprise Instagram live. Strip the voice, and what is left? A brand on mute, a persona on pause, a king with the volume knob ripped out of the throne. Watch the months ahead and you will notice something quietly devastating. The features get shorter. The promo cycles get smaller. The album rollout leans harder on visual spectacle than on words, because every word now carries legal weight, and the man who used to weaponize words against everybody else now has to ration them like a hostage negotiator counting bullets. That is not a rapper anymore. That is a defendant pretending to still be a rapper, hoping the audience does not notice the difference.
That is why Megan's lawsuit is worse than Drake's RICO-style case. Not because the dollar amount is bigger, $59,000 is pocket change for a top 5 streaming artist. It is worse because dollars are not the currency in this fight. The currency is silence. The currency is depositions. The currency is the slow public construction of a paper architecture that no clever bar, no insider Instagram post, no orchestrated softball interview can dismantle. Kendrick won the war of bars. Megan might win the war of receipts. And in 2026, in a culture finally tired of being lied to by the loudest voices on its timeline, receipts do not just hit harder than rhymes. Receipts hit under oath. Receipts hit with a court reporter typing every syllable. Receipts hit with judges who do not care how many platinum plaques you have on the wall. Receipts are the only language Drake's PR machine cannot translate, cannot spin, cannot delete, and cannot pay off. So next time somebody on your timeline tries to tell you the war ended at the Super Bowl, stop them, correct them. Tell them the war did not end at the Super Bowl. The war moved courthouses. Tell them the diss tracks were the trailer. The movie is the lawsuit. Tell them Kendrick fired the first shot. Megan loaded the second magazine, and that magazine is full of subpoenas. Tell them Drake's biggest threat is no longer a rapper from Compton with a microphone. His biggest threat is a Houston superstar with a legal team that knows exactly which doors to open, which witnesses to call, and which encrypted apps were deleted from which phones on which dates. Tell them the worst thing that has ever happened to Drake is not a song that calls him a pedophile. The worst thing is a discovery process that calls him to the stand. Then let them sit with that, because every other person on this internet is still arguing about who won a song, while the actual war is being won, week by week, in a courtroom most of them have never even heard of, by a woman who never had to write a single bar to do it. Hit the like if you actually made it this far. Drop your verdict in the comments. Tell me who you think gets deposed next, because the next domino is already lined up, and the timeline is shorter than people think.
Subscribe if you want the deposition breakdown the second the next document drops. And if you want to see the receipts that connect this entire blogger network back to one signature, the next chapter is already loaded. Don't sleep on it. The autopsy is still being written, and the man at the center of it is finally running out of bars to hide behind.